Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Honor the Land, the 1-5 episode, something we did not think we would be making in a million years, especially back in August. But that's the reality. Cleveland Browns fall to the Philadelphia Eagles again on the road. Tough game, hard fought game. Definitely closer than we thought, but not enough at the end of the day. And you walk into your first AFC North game of the year with some optimism because Nick Chubb will be back, or at least that's what we think. And you're entering a separate season almost in the AFC North, but you're 1-5, and you got to win the next couple games. But reflecting back on Sunday's what are your initial thoughts? What did you think the positives were from the game? Because I do think there were a couple positives, as wild as that sounds.
I don't even want to talk about no positives with this team right now. We got so much. There's no positives that can outweigh the negatives. I mean, if you said almost, well, if we were playing horseshoes, we'd be 5-0 because we almost won every game this year. Like besides the Dallas game, but I mean, the positives are the defense. A lot of people still are hating on the defense, but I look at the play by play and all I see is disaster. I see still not finding a way to move the ball. We talked about it just shortly, but they found a run game, but when it mattered most, they didn't go to it. So you can't even be excited for the fact that they did find a little bit of a run game. And I mean, we're sitting here excited about 8 carries for 43 yards for Pierre Strong and 10 carries for 31 yards for Deontay Foreman. It's not like they found some, magical glory hole right here. So I just, it's a tough spot to be in. Amari Cooper didn't take a step forward for us to have any, belief that's like that mental hurdle is over. And everywhere else on the box score, it's just disgusting. Jerry Jeudy, 1 catch, 35 yards. David Njoku, 5 catches, 31 yards. Pierre Strong, 2. Like, it's just, where's the $180 million? 190 of that, Deshaun Watson, 16 of 23, 163 yards. Like, not many positives. Rodney McLeod is probably the MVP of this team right
Yeah,
now.
him or Gary,
Um,
yeah.
and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. So
I'm with you. I'm glad you said there's no positives that can outweigh any of the negatives. I think you look at literally any position on the team outside of Myles Garrett, JOK, Corey Bojorquez, and yeah, Rodney McLeod has stepped up big time. He's returned 2 fumbles for touchdowns. He has the most touchdowns on the Cleveland Browns. He is a defensive back. It is week 6. That's unbelievable. It's week 7, actually. It's not even week 6. It's week 7.
and it's his last year quoted.
Yep, exactly. He's certainly leaving it all on the line. Yeah, there really weren't too many good things. It was nice to see a run game going. Again, we talked about it though, like that's a defense you should have at least some success against. Like you walk into that game, you should be having at least some success on the ground through the air against that defense because they were banged up throughout the game too, but they're walking in, not a great unit. Now, offensively for the Eagles, I think truly they outmatched the Browns out wide. And we saw that time and time again. There were times where Denzel Ward held his own, but Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, those one-on-one scenarios, like it's not to say they are bad corners, but they are not as good as 2 of arguably the 10 best receivers in the league who are on the same team. Like sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes you get outmatched, you get outplayed, especially on that Devontae Smith touchdown. Like great play schematically. You had no help on the other side after you beat somebody in a 3-yard drag route. Like, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. But I do think there were some positives from the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, Myles Garrett is an alien. He is not from this planet. It's unbelievable. And they are truly wasting his prime right now, which is unbelievably insane to have him, to have a player the caliber of JOK, and then to have other defensive players across the board that can hold their own, that continue to produce. And you still have a good defense. Like this is still a good elite defense when everybody's healthy. Mel Hurst was back this week. He was all over the place. But your offense sabotages your defense. I've seen a couple clips actually talking about the Giants, oddly enough, but a couple clips saying the same exact thing. Browns, Giants, all these teams that are good defensively but can't string together wins. Mediocre quarterback play coupled with elite defensive play will win you games. Below average quarterback play coupled with elite defensive play will lose you games. That is what's happening with the Cleveland Browns right now, minus that second half that Deshaun Watson showed, where it was, 11 for 12, was throwing the ball really well, but then you get back into the red zone, and then the field shrinks, the pass concepts are more difficult to execute, and you're still passing the football. I don't get that.
what I think sucks the most about this whole Deshaun Watson thing is like, we go back to the positives not outweighing the negatives. Back to back weeks, Deshaun Watson put us in position to not only put up points, but ultimately maybe win the game and put it in our defense's hands. Like everything we want. You want the ball game in the defense's hands. What do I mean by that? You get the Amari Cooper Deshaun Watson made the best throw of the game again. Back to back weeks, he made the best throw of the week again to that 3rd and 11 to Amari Cooper that set it up to get you at the 3-yard line. That from that point on, the coach has to put you in position to go punch six in. Like, it's like, well, Deshaun Watson didn't look great in the first half. He didn't. But the second half, he looked way better. And when it mattered most, when we talk about it most, you always say it's a 40-minute, like, well, we played the first 3 quarters good, but you played the fourth quarter bad. We played the first 2 quarters bad, but we played the second or third and fourth quarter good. And Deshaun Watson made the best throw of the game in the biggest moment. And we didn't capitalize on that. That cannot happen. And for it to happen back to back weeks, and we can't sit here and talk about how our $230 million quarterback put us in position to get points and ultimately take the lead and put it in our defense's hands. It sucks because that should be the silver lining in all of this. The quarterback has been the main story, and unfortunately, we can't even look at anything positive because he's been god awful, and he
Yeah,
is god awful at this point.
he has been. Yeah, I mean that. I'm trying to think back to. I mean, the Vegas game was good. I think across the board, just throughout. I mean, the second half yesterday was good, or Sunday was good. I mean, it was fine in Jacksonville, but like, what else? What else has he gotten us to write home about? Still have not scored 20 points offensively, which is unbelievable, unreal. It is October 15th, halfway through October, and they have not put 20 points on the board, and they have scored defensive touchdowns in multiple games, and they have not put 20 points on the board. That's unbelievable, and we'll keep talking about that. But the coaching stuff, like, I don't know if I've ever seen a team have back-to-back weeks with back-to-back false starts in the red zone. How does that happen? How does that
It's
happen?
coaching. It's coaching. You don't because what blows my mind, we have 3 of the 3 linemen, Joe Patonio, Ethan Posick, and Wyatt Teller have been here for years with Callahan, without Callahan. Like it shouldn't be that's a perfect example of coaching. It has to be. And I just don't understand how you get there. It forces you to think conspiracy theory because we talk about looking back at this game to what has Deshaun Watson done. Well, he hasn't thrown for under 200 yards. We know that, but let's just try to find it, right? So I'm gonna look back at these games. Philadelphia, I just mentioned he threw that Amari Cooper 3rd and 11 to put us in the side of the 5. The Washington game, same thing. He threw two passes to Amari Cooper to get us down there. Jerry Jeudy doesn't do any favors and drops a touchdown inside. False start offensive line. Back-to-back games, he's put you in position to win. The game before that, Vegas, he gets you down there. You get the 83-yard phantom call, holding call back, and yet I think there was a pass play that we were up in right near midfield, right? I didn't check that box score, but I think he put us in position to ultimately have an opportunity to do something with it. Let me just double check real quick. 13-yard pass to Amari Cooper, timeout, and then he gets sacked, fumbles. That wasn't great. But besides that, the game before that, the Giants. We know how the Giants game went, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, he had no help from the offensive line that game. And anytime he did have a chance, he gave you a 10-0 point lead to start the game. And then the game before that, the Jaguars was the only game that we won. And that was quite frankly his best game of the season up until this point.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do we find the positives? I don't know, because none of that matters because your record is 1-5. You haven't thrown for under 200 yards. You haven't scored over 20 points. Your offensive line doesn't want to block for you. It really feels like this team doesn't want to play for Deshaun Watson.
And at what point do you lean into that? Because the season is not over through 6 weeks, but you lose multiple games and you got back-to-back AFC North games. Back-to-back AFC North games. You lose 2 AFC North games and you go to 1-7. I think the season is over. Like,
Oh,
that's the reality.
100%. You lose this week, it's over.
See, I don't know.
Here's the thing. There comes a point in time when enough is enough. At the end of the day, these guys are playing. How many more weeks is this defense going to go out here And if you can't beat the Bengals, the one team that you just always seem to have a number on, what do you think that's going to do for your morale? There is no leader in this locker room right now that's going to galvanize you to a victory. You
No.
have to win this week. 1-6, bro. Come on, man. There's no coming back from that. There isn't.
No. Well, the only way it could happen is if they made a dramatic change, and that would have to come. Well, it could come in the coaching world. I don't think it's going to, but it would have to come at the quarterback position. And at some point, you're going to have to look yourself in the mirror and say, we have a year of Myles Garrett in his prime, who's, for the most part, like a guy who's battled injuries for a good amount of his career, though he's doing it now, has been healthy and has not missed a game yet. That's pretty remarkable. Like, that's an important thing. Myles Garrett is fighting through all the foot stuff, staying on the field. He's healthy. Your defense, it's banged up, but you're not losing any of your 3, 4 best players for extended periods of time on the defensive side of the ball. Like, you're wasting a year of a great, healthy defense because you're too stubborn to admit a mistake.
And you know what pisses me off even more about that is that we're watching another organization go through a pretty much similar situation as terms of a fire. Whether it be bigger than the fire that we're going through or not, they got a fire on their hands. The Jets are still making. You want to talk about a power struggle? Whether it be the GM, the coach, the quarterback, you're seeing that at least at the end of the day that quarterback has some type of power. If you think he didn't have a saying and saying, "Hey, go get Devontae Adams," after that interview with Mike Williams and just how everything went. Now, I think the Mike Saleh one, there's a theory out there of why he may have gotten fired. And I think I could side with Aaron Rodgers and maybe saying I don't know if he didn't know because it was a whole political thing. He was wearing a Pakistan patch or under his
I wouldn't,
thing
I
or
don't know.
whatever. Yeah, no. So like I said, that's the theory they're throwing around there. Which, if you correlate that however you want to, but they're 2-4. They're in a blunder right now. And not only did they fire their coach, they're bringing in talent to cater their quarterback. What has Deshaun Watson done? Like, everyone says Deshaun Watson is controlling this franchise and Kevin Stefanski is controlling this franchise. Where's the how? What, number one, do we know if Kevin Stefanski really wanted Deshaun Watson? Do we really know if he wanted to run this style of offense? Number two, what player has Deshaun Watson banged on the table for or made it obvious that he wants to play for? Like, so you're seeing displays of power in another organization right now, and you're seeing a team that's desperate and trying to make moves. And then you have a team that was supposed to have the same window of opportunity as the Jets, just sit here and be stagnant and do nothing. That is a problem. That's a ownership problem at this point.
It is an ownership problem. It's I think if you're right, Deshaun Watson had some type of say. I think DeAndre Hopkins would be on his way to Cleveland right now. I think I think the play calling would change hands because that also happened in New York, whether right or wrong, regardless, that did happen. And I think the Browns would, like, you would see a more concerted effort to try new things, to do literally everything you can, at least on the offensive side of the ball, to put yourself in position to score. Now, one thing I did notice, I'm sure you noticed this too, a lot more Cedric Tillman snaps, which was good. Don't know how much I love the fourth down handoff, but he was out there more.
But that's not enough, though.
It's not. It's not.
He has to have a catch.
Yeah.
He has a run, not a catch. That's not what you like, bro. When your offense was humming,
yep.
Up until that point, the offense was humming. And the second you put Jameis Winston in this season, how did we get here, Max? Like, I just don't understand how we got to this point. You have the same talent on this team. You ran it back. Bro.
Well, I can tell you what's different. It's the quarterback. That's for sure. And whether it's, pro Flacco, whatever, that's not the point.
Andrew Berry dropped the ball.
Yeah, I think so.
Dropped the ball.
I mean, I'm not going to beat a dead horse with the whole Flacco thing, but like, you see how he's doing in Indianapolis, and it's like it has to get to a point where you are so desperate to win that you're willing to try anything. You're willing to put your head out there for the media to cut it off. And to be honest with you, I think the fact that the Browns aren't going away from Deshaun Watson makes the mistake look worse. Like, I think it makes the payment, I think it makes the trade look way worse than, as I've heard a lot of people say, you made your bed, you got to lay in it. No, you don't. It's week 7 of the NFL season. You have 11 games left. You don't have to lay in any bed if you already made it. You're trying to win football games.
You know what sucks though, because I have the problem. I don't know if you have the problem being a content creator, but put yourself in Jimmy Haslam's shoes and these organization shoes, right? Like, could you imagine just letting the fans be right again in this type of atmosphere? Like, do you know how hard it is to just sit here and be like, "Damn, I was wrong on this take." Like on a take
Oh,
that you
yeah.
truly
Oh,
stood
yeah.
on. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
one that you believed in. You took a lot of crap for. You got beat up for it, and then you have to sit here and be like, "Yeah, I dropped the ball." But the what makes it worse is the people, the just the stigma that you were trying to avoid. It's just chomping at the bit, chomping at the bit, chomping. Browns are the Browns. Browns are the Browns. Oh, you're gonna go 4-12. Oh, you're gonna be bad. Oh, look for the first round pick. Like it's all in your ear, and you're just like, no, we gotta prove them wrong. We just gotta prove them wrong. It's like this is an ego thing. This has been the one problem with this organization dating way back to Baker, dating way back to John Dorsey, dating way back to Odell Beckham. It has always been an ego problem with this organization, and I blamed it on Kevin Stefanski at first. I blamed it on Andrew Berry after that for not getting the right people in the locker room. When in reality, the person that's really puppet showing this whole Pinocchio show is Jimmy Haslam. His ego will not allow it, and that's where we're finally seeing that it wasn't the coach. It wasn't this. The ego problem is Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah.
It's Jerry Jones.
It is Jerry Jones in the AFC, that's for sure. I'll ask you then, if you're a Browns fan, speak for all Browns fans. The Browns make a switch from Deshaun Watson to Jameis Winston or DTR. Are you more or less upset about the Deshaun Watson move? I'm probably less upset about it if they make a switch right now.
I mean, I don't think it can get any. I mean, can it get worse? Yeah, you can
No, I don't
keep.
think it can get worse.
I don't think you can. I think you can just make the piss that much hotter that we're gonna sit in because we're just gonna continue to pee on ourselves. But like, I think no. If anything, you come out and own it. It's one of those things where it's like just get out in the public. You know how attorneys and stuff they always just say just get out here, put it out there,
Yeah.
and whatever happens happens. Like at this point, what the pitchforks and fires are already out there, bro. They're about to demolish the city. Will Sunday could be a massacre, bro.
Yeah.
The first incomplete pass is going to roar. You're going to hear it. I live in Painesville, 45 minutes away. You are going to feel the roars. The first incomplete pass this week.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I just think you got to put your ego to the side. You talk about having an adult in the room. Jimmy Haslam. It's time to look into the mirror, brother. You got to be an adult here. You're the oldest guy on this franchise. Be an adult.
Yeah. I'm with you. And especially because the situation the Browns are in now, you lose week 3 against the Giants at home. That's your most recent home game prior to this week. And there you could say whatever you will, bad day for an offense, whatever it may be, but like even after that game, you still felt like the Browns were doing some decent things, right? You saw Amari Cooper get back into the end zone. The defense made some good plays, and you just saw one player on the other team just be the best player on the field. That was the reality of it. So you leave home at 1-2, and now you're coming back home at 1-5. One
Not a
and five
single win
a
on that
month
stretch.
a month later.
Not without a win. We ain't had a win in a month, bro.
It's insane.
This is why this is why I have to hold on. And this is why us as fans need to hold on because we've always stood for this team. Damn it, we threw a parade at 0-16. Like if there's ever a time that you need to hold on, you have to hold on to this defense. They earned it. They are the only thing keeping this from sinking at a very, very rapid pace. But the second that they check out, and I promise you, you will see it. You will see it because we've seen flashes of it against Vegas. You've seen flashes of it last week when they couldn't tackle. This whole not tackling thing was a problem when Joe Woods was here. And we know how that story ended. The locker room will slowly start to crumble, but until that defense gives up, the fans, myself, and anybody else that wants to jump off the ship had got to hold tight until that defense lets go because they earned that at the very least. They don't have a play in this Deshaun Watson thing.
Oh, absolutely. And I also think anytime you have a defense like that, you give yourself a chance to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime, one snap, Myles Garrett, game record, go change the game, 10-point swing. Anytime you have a defense like that, you can stay in the game and they will actively make you plays to win. The Raiders game, the defensive touchdown. The Browns had no business being in that game. No business being in that. Well, I shouldn't say that because there were some drops and stuff, but very little business being in that game. You get the defensive touchdown. Like anytime you have a defense like that, you can stay in a game. What are you going to do offensively to mitigate? Not even mitigate. What are you going to do offensively to not lose the game? Because there is nothing that has made us believe that a change is coming or what they have currently can help that defense in any way, shape, or form.
Deshaun Watson has just got to be better, bro. Like, I'm trying to refrain from making the video that I want to make, and I know you, like you said, you don't want to beat a dead horse with the Joe Flacco thing, but I think there's a different direction that you can take that thing. Like, I think that has an opportunity to set this franchise back. It obviously set us back 1 year, so to say that it set us back a year is already set in stone. But I think that actually set us back more than 1 year because let's just say we do draft a quarterback next year. Well, you know how that goes. Are you going to strike gold and get a Jaden Daniels? Maybe. Are you going to strike gold and get an Andrew Luck? Maybe. I mean, it seems like we get one of those quarterbacks that turn around a franchise around once every 5-6 years, And I think you've seen that in this past draft class. And it's tough to sit here and be like, bro, just do this, just do this, just do, man. At the end of the day, I seen clip after clip, quarterback after quarterback, blitz after blitz, where at the end of the day, he's just throwing it up and letting the receiver make a play. There should be no reason why we can't get a check down every play to David Njoku, right? I mean, we did it damn near last year. He had 10 catches 3 weeks in a row, basically. Like, there has to be a point in time where stop trying to get 15 yards and just take the 2 and get the yak. Who cares? Yeah. Be a dink and dunk merchant at this point. Just go win some freaking football games. And I think it makes me even more mad. Like I know I'm rambling, but
no, keep going. You're good.
I think just his leadership, bro. I thought it's bad. It's the worst that we've seen at the quarterback position, and we've seen DTR, we've seen PJ Walker, we've seen some quarterback plays that has no business being leaders, and it looking better in their retrospect. And you're getting paid all this money, and not once have I ever seen you go over to the sideline and be like, yo, David, my bad. I got you on the next one. Oh, Amari, you dropped this pass. Do you know how many times I called it last year when Amari Cooper dropped a pass from Joe Flacco? And I'm like, this is a vet. Vet stuff when you're a vet, you do vet things. Exactly. Every single time Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper misconnected, the very next drive, the very first play was designed for Amari Cooper. Not once have you seen that this year. It's just the leadership aspect is bad, and the fact that you're not getting it from your quarterback or your coach, both can go at this point. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was just looking up a couple numbers here. So Deshaun Watson right now through 6 games, 1,020 yards. That's 170 a game, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and then has 1 touchdown on the ground. Looking back at some of the performances last year, because you mentioned PJ Walker and DTR. PJ Walker against the 49ers, granted, he did throw 2 picks, 192 passing yards. You have a couple other games. Let's scroll through these. So you had the 49ers game. You had the Colts game that Deshaun Watson he played what? 5 snaps. PJ Walker, 178 passing yards against that Colts defense. That wasn't very good. The Browns scored 39 on him. One defensive touchdown.
2 defensive touchdowns. Myles Garrett had 14 points that game, single-handedly. He had the sack. He had the sack in the end zone with the that Tony Fields recovered, and he had the jump. Or he was responsible for that point off the turnover, but that turned into the point. So he basically had 14 by himself.
Yep. That Seahawks game the week after, PJ Walker, 248 yards. Let's keep going now.
248?
248, yep. DTR against the Steelers at home. I think this was his first start, if I'm not mistaken. 165 yards. That Broncos game, that was abysmal. DTR still 134, and then PJ Walker had to come in an additional 56, so you combine for 170 plus yards.
DTR looked good that game too, if I remember, right before that sack that
he got hurt, injured on. And then Flacco came in and did his thing. But you look at virtually every single game last year that your third string quarterback now, I guess, and then a quarterback you let go to the free agent market this offseason, which I don't think was the wrong move. I think it made sense to let PJ Walker go. Are producing more than Deshaun Watson is. That is unreal. At what point do you look at that? Do you look at the production he's had? Do you look at least the track record of your backup and third string quarterback and say we have to make trade? Like I don't or have to make a change. I don't think anybody can look at this from the outside looking in and say it's not an ownership thing because every single bit of proof that says Deshaun Watson is not giving us the best chance to win is out there and clear to see to the public eye. It's unbelievable.
And then you have coach saying that, I quote, Deshaun Watson gives us the best chance to win. He will give us the best chance to win. When I heard that, I you know, when those memes, you'd be like, it's like I'm driving in the car and I'm like, ooh, I literally did that. I'm like, this, and then I tweeted, the fans ain't gonna like hearing that. Like, there's no way that comes out of your mouth, coach. You can't that you can say a lot of different things. You can beat around the bush however you want to do, but you can't say that to the
You definitely
fans,
can't say
coach.
that.
like you think we're dumb? That's a slap in the face. So like
It is.
I just wish that we'll never know this until it's we'll know. Don't get it wrong. Cleveland, we will find out how this crumbles, how this breaks up, why everything happened the way that it did. But it won't be until years down the road. You just got to be patient. But until now, I mean, I think all of our energy should be mad at Jimmy Haslam. And I hate saying that because the one thing you want your owner to do is to cut the checks. And he has no problem doing that. And you
Yeah.
saw what no problem doing that does for the Cavs. We got a championship. Granted, we had LeBron James, but it's nice to have an owner that don't care about the bread. If he can just get his hand out the cookie jar when
Yeah.
when dinner time is right around the corner, let's eat first and then you can get your desserts. He ain't even letting that happen. He want to cook it. He want to lick the bowl. He want to eat the dough and he want to do everything. He just gotta take a step back. So we're all mad right now, but just direct the energy evenly, please, because everyone deserves a piece of this.
Absolutely. And it's not just Deshaun Watson. I was actually talking to my parents about this too, because the public perception of Deshaun Watson, especially to people outside of Cleveland, just is all bad. So it's the lowest hanging fruit of low hanging fruits ever when Deshaun Watson doesn't play great and the Browns lose. And it's not like he's blameless, but there are so many other things that are going on. It's unbelievable. We've been talking for 20 minutes and we talked about the offensive line for maybe 30 seconds. The offensive line is abysmal, horrible.
And that's where I think, like, you know, you want to talk about the real blame. Kevin Stefanski, whether he's in control or not, right? There has to be something he's controlling. Like, there has to be one thing that it's like, okay, we know you're in control of the offense, but what else are you bringing to the table?
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam are like, yeah, I need to sign off on Andy Dickerson. I need to sign off on Ken Dorsey. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, those two hires are two of the main things that are wrong with our offense right now. That falls on the coach. I'm sorry. I know you're trying to fill. It's like trying to say Jerome Ford's trying to fill Nick Chubb's shoes with Andy Dickerson trying to fill Brian Callahan's shoes. But at the end of the day, when you had an opportunity to go out there and make the hires that you wanted, these were the people that you brought in, and you got the number one worst offensive line in the defense or in the league, and you have the number one worst offense in the league. And those were both your hires, brother.
Yep.
So what are you blaming on Stefanski if you're just saying, like, I don't want to hear the 2-time coach of the year thing. Give me some real legitimate stuff. What are you putting blame on coach on? Because there's blame to be had.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what the craziest thing about all this is? Alex Van Pelt, right, leaves, goes to New England as the offensive coordinator. And I had no problem parting ways. Like, it was you're kind of stuck in mud with the offense for a few years. You felt like it made no sense. Whatever, no big deal. But Alex Van Pelt goes to New England. I think the only offensive line in the NFL that's worse than the Browns right now is the Patriots offensive line. It is laughable how bad it is over there too. And any Patriots fan will tell you that. The Patriots have scored 20 points twice this season, and they have been doing that with a significantly worse supporting cast. I mean, you could say we will about Jacoby Brissett. He was one of the 20-point games. Drake made the other one this past Sunday. But you're doing this with quote-unquote worse quarterback play, definitely worse weapons, and a worse offensive line. Like that, this is it's unfathomable how insane the lack of production is for this Browns offense. Like it's been a month and a half. There's no reason you have not scored 20 points. And I can't even say this enough. Have not scored 20 points. And there's been multiple games where your defense has given you 7. So that's 13 points. unbelievable. It's just insane.
It almost feels like it's a punishment. Like it feels like a dream, a nightmare. Like one of those nightmares where you feel like you can't run, and
Yeah.
it's something just trying to get you. Like it feels like we're running into a destruction path, but it's just like it's on repeat because every single. I think you said it's unfathomable. I think it's even more unfathomable and laughable that we are content without making a change.
Yeah.
That's what's mind-boggling to me. It'd be different if we're sitting here and being like, okay, week 4 they changed this, week 5 they tried that, week 6 they do, but it's like, oh, week 3 Jedrick Wills is back. Oh, week 4 you finally got good play out of Deshaun Watson. That's enough. Oh, week 5 we're gonna hint at Nick Chubb coming back. Oh, guess what? Jack Conklin's back. David Njoku. Them's not changes. None of that is, I'm going to go into there. I'm going to have to do this. This might piss this guy off, but we're going to change this. Or you know what, coach? Come step into my offense. Like, there is none of that. How many uncomfortable conversations do you think the Jets have had over these past 3 weeks?
Oh my gosh. After the game last night, Devontae Adams got on a red eye this morning. After the game last night, they were literally talking so upset with their performance and not winning a big game in prime time that they went out and traded for somebody. Like, granted, I do think the Jets situation is different than the Browns. I really don't know if it is. They're both in a very present, immediate Super Bowl window, immediate win window. You got to win now. So,
I mean, they were in the same boat as us.
yeah,
Like, let's be honest. Like, they have 2 years of Aaron Rodgers, maybe.
I think too.
So if you don't get it right this year, next year they're in the same boat quarterback wise, except contracts and player. Obviously,
Yeah.
they have a really good defense, and they have plethora of options on offense that you can go to.
Yeah.
What isn't that about the Browns? The Browns have a plethora of options that you can go to on offense. Don't know how to utilize them, but I think as we sit here and say that's crazy, the Browns haven't scored this and that. Let's not discredit the talent that we do have. It's the same talent that we had last year. Jerry Jeudy was phenomenal the first 3 weeks of the season.
This is a better offense on paper than it was last year.
100%. This is probably the best offense we've had dating back. How far do you want to go? The only thing that you can compare this offense to is the 2021 offense when we had Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Odell, Jarvis, David Njoku, Baker Mayfield,
And a
Joe
good
Antonio,
offensive line.
and a good offensive line.
Yeah.
But as far as talent goes, I mean, I think this one may edge it a little bit. You got 3 receivers that were supposed to be the best separators in the league. You have a specimen in Cedric Tillman who you don't know how to utilize. David Njoku is probably in his prime, and he's playing through injuries, as we know. Like, I don't know, man. We need a change. Something has to, and throwing out Nick Chubb next week is not the change, bro.
No, it's not, but it'll put people in seats. That's for sure.
For how long? Can we predict the stat line? What do you think it's going to be? How many carries is Nick Chubb getting this week?
I think he's going to get double-digit touches. I think he gets 10-plus touches, whether it's a couple in the pass game, screen game. But I think it has literally gotten to a point where it's so bad that you have to use your best player, even if he's not 100% not in game shape. Now, it's a different story if he gets out there, gets a couple carries, and you're like, yeah, I'm not ready for this, which could happen. But it is Nick Chubb at the end of the day. And also the reality here is like 2 weeks of practice, even though it can't simulate a game, really, really helps assimilate you to getting back into game shape. Like if they would have rushed him back week 5 or week 6, probably wouldn't have even come close to 7 touches. But because he's had 2 full weeks of practice where he's been limited, it's not like he hasn't been practicing. He's been limited in practice. He's been practicing.
With the scout team, they said that.
Yeah, like he's getting back into game shape. So it's a different story if he gets out there and realizes, I can't do this. But at the end of the day, it is Nick Chubb. He's had 2 full weeks. We'll have 3 full weeks of practice before he steps onto the field. So I'll go 10 touches. I'll go 62 scrimmage yards. Receiving and rushing combined 62.
That's low for my guy. It's funny you mentioned that because I don't know if you listened to the presser after Kevin Stefanski pushed it back an hour and a half or however long it was. But he talked. Someone asked the question about the load that Nick Chubb would get, and I think they posed it as would he be limited? And then he's like, I don't think we look at it like that. I think when he said that, I'm like, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. So you're telling me you're not gonna put like a pitch count on Nick Chubb? You're gonna run as if things go. So 10 touches would be too low if that's the case.
Yeah, if that's the case,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So
Oh,
I'm
cool.
anxious to know. I'm curious because I was in your boat until I heard that, because we talked about this forever. My worst nightmare was he go out there and get the ball 6, 7 times and go for 80 yards. And then we'd be looking at the box
Take
score
him
like,
out.
what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
But then I hear coach come out and say that. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Maybe he comes out and gets 15. If
Who
he gets
knows?
15 touches of Nick Chubb is actually huge.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I think a lot of people are saying Nick Chubb's not going to come back and save this season. I think people are underestimating the power and the effect of Nick Chubb. If Nick Chubb is touching the ball 15 times, we may see a 200-yard game from Deshaun Watson
yeah.
because defenses are going to be terrified that he is carrying the ball that many times. And if you mean to tell me Nick Chubb's going to get 15 touches, you think he's not going to get off 100 yards?
Yeah. Oh, I think you will.
Come on now.
Yeah. It's a good point.
So
Well,
it could be bigger than we think.
I hope so. I hope so, especially because this is as must win as a must win game can get. Like it.
For the
I don't.
third
I
week
don't
in a
want.
row.
I don't want to put the season on a tombstone if they lose this week, but it's going to be the closest it gets without me saying the season's over. I do think if they lose back to back, it is over. You can't afford to lose 2 games in your division right now. You can't afford to lose a game period right now. But Browns Bengals 1 p.m. this coming Sunday. We will have another episode for you guys before that game, a little preview, a little score prediction. I'm optimistic about this week. We wait to see what the practice schedule looks like. Another guy to keep an eye on this week who is eligible to return from IR. He did not this past week. Is Juan Thornhill. You see Juan Thornhill coming back, which should help a bunch this week. Mike Hall back from his suspension. Mo Hurst played last week. They're getting healthier on the defense side of the ball, which is great. They need it really bad. Also, Grant Delpit, who didn't play this Sunday, you hope he's cleared from concussion protocol.
He's still in
Look,
protocol, last they said.
there you go. Look, I don't want to get overly optimistic. I don't want to try to come off as an apologist here, but this has a real chance to see the Cleveland Browns at full health for the first time this season. That's the reality of Sunday. You're starting offense minus Wyatt Teller. You're starting offense minus Wyatt Teller, and you're starting defense. Like that. That's the reality. It could be this week.
You know, another reality, the Browns have to go 8-3 to even have a shot to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, that is true. You got to take it one week at a time, though. Got to take it one week at a time.
Dude, don't you think this team's good enough, though? Like, I
Not with
know right
the
now,
quarterback play they have now.
I know right now it doesn't look like it, but you literally need Las Vegas Raider Deshaun at best.
Yeah,
You can get away with Jacksonville Jaguar Deshaun.
absolutely.
At the
Average quarterback play. Like I said at the beginning, average quarterback play, you can win games with a good defense.
I don't even think that was average. That's what I'm saying. Like that wasn't even average because average in the league right now looks a little bit different. I feel like there's a lot of average play around. There's not much. Like it's weird how we went from seeing 300, 400 yards every single game, every single week last couple years.
Yeah.
To this week, it's like people are struggling just to break 200. Like there's some quarterbacks that aren't cracking 200 yards that you're like, there's no way.
Even guys like Justin Herbert now because of the new system. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't even need. I mean, I know we're setting the bar low for a $230 million guy, but I'm leaning on the defense, baby.
Yeah, and you should. Defense and special teams too, outside of the blunders that have been, I guess, coaching related, but also some special teams blunders to start the year. This is a very, very good special teams unit, an extremely good defense, and like at some point the offense has to put together, right? At some point.
I mean, I know what I'm wishing for Christmas.
What, a new quarterback?
Like
20 points.
I don't know, Cole at this point because I no, I don't know. I mean, I would anything, train tracks. Give me train tracks, Santa. Why? because we need to get this thing back on the track first. I'll manage everything else later. I'll put the carts back on there. Give me a competent offense. Give me a competent drive. Give me a couple No, matter of fact, give me a second and third quarter where we just played scotch-free, just beautiful football, because we ain't got that yet.
No,
I'm
not
gonna, I'm
yet.
gonna, I'm gonna take it slow.
I like that. I like that. And it's a good matchup for the Browns against this Bengals defense coming up this Sunday. But until then, we appreciate you guys hopping on. We appreciate you guys watching and listening. As always, if you're new, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe. We'll have another episode out for you prior to that Browns Bengals game this Sunday. Zay, any final words before we sign off?
1-5, 5-1. Johnny Manziel, Deshaun Watson, Brian Hoyer. It don't matter. Browns till I die. And here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
We appreciate you guys hopping on. We will see you next time.